What's up, everyone? Take two. Welcome to Baseball 4 Podcast here. Gus Rico, we're finally back here. We're gonna keep going here. We're gonna bring more guests. We're gonna talk about Dodger baseball. Congratulations to our back-to-back champs, LA natives. So that's awesome to see. Good time to be alive. Gus Rico again. To my left, co-host Andy Lira.
Yeah. Welcome back to episode 55. No one knew about that take two, but now they do, but it's okay. Welcome back to episode 55. We took a couple weeks off, and we're here. These two guys here to my left really are inspiring the youth as well as we are, so that we wanted to come and come together and really speak about how our communities kind of interact with each other, how it's supposed to be, and how we can help each other out when we come to that, whether it be kids, teenagers, or whatever it is. And be mentors for them on both sides of it, on the field and off the field. So they'll be able to speak about what they are into and what they're doing to try to help the community out. And we are thankful for what they do. But nonetheless, here to my left, Raz and Rudy, how you guys doing, man?
We're doing well.
Good,
Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you.
One more time, shout out for the LA Dodgers. We're back-to-back champions. Que se agüiten los feos. All you doubters out there, there's a bluebird on my shoulder. Can I kill it?
Ah, dang.
There you
Okay.
go.
Man, so hey guys, welcome to Baseball 4 Podcast. This is us here. Thanks for coming. I know Raz reached out. Raz reached out, and I was like, man, let's do it. Be a little different than what we normally do, but we're always up for for that. So, man, let's go ahead, speak on it.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having us. We want to talk a little bit about the RAMP Restorative Academic Mentorship Program. It's a nonprofit here in Los Angeles, the greater Los Angeles area, that deals with formerly incarcerated youth, Rudy Reyes and myself, Erasmo Reyes. Probably a long lost relationship somewhere deep within the bowels of the Oaxacan jungle somewhere. We are a group of mentors formerly incarcerated ourselves at one point that are now servicing and helping out the youth that are the SYTF population that was formerly DJJ and once upon a time the California Youth Authority. So it is an honor and a privilege to be able to be in that capacity, service driven mentorship on our part and dealing with the youth that we have in our care at our locations here in the San Fernando Valley. And we also have a female SYTF program that is called the Empower House, but it's pronounced as Empower Her. Play on words. The H is silent, obviously, for those of you English majors. So we have some colleagues, Zara Alvarez and Darlene, that are the ED and the assistant ED over there, doing that good work with the women population, the SYTF. Rudy, give us a little bar.
Oh, I just wanted to give a shout out to my brother Albert Gomez here sitting in the background and Frank Silva flying in from Sacramento. Thank you guys for being here as well. They'll chime in a little in the background. But we are this population of youth. We're intervening in their lives to mentor them and give them the coaching that they need. We would surely have hoped to have had that kind of program when we were kids. Maybe we wouldn't know, went through the hardship and spend so much time in the youth facilities as well as prison, and then finally making it out. Thanks and praise be to God that we're here and able to be amongst the free and the living, and we're able to, redirect these young men's lives. That's how I met Raz through a mutual friend, Joe Aguilar, who was a founder of RAMP, as well as Raz and Robert Luca. We go to church together. We're members of a local church in North Hills, Valley Presbyterian Church, and we just really want to help these young men turn their lives around and to get a career and to figure out where they're going to do complete college. We have like 75 to maybe 85% of our participants are in local colleges at Mission and CSUN, as well as Valley College there in Sherman Oaks. We promote the academic part of who we are, and we provide the mentorship part of the program. So we want to restore these young men back to society and make them whole again, so that they don't have to go through the hardship that we
For sure. Raz and I met through mutual friends, and he's been to my backyard plenty of times. My wall has Braves Baseball Academy on it, and I remember when I think I first kind of bought the house. First couple of years, I asked the wife, like, well, I can't have a man cave, and I said, hey, someone offered me a batting cage to buy, and I was like, purchase, and I was like, sure, but and my dad and I go outside and we start measuring the measurements of the batting cage. So my wife comes back, she comes and she's right behind me. She's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, we're measuring a batting cage. She's like, what are you going to put out? Yeah, I'm going to put a batting cage. She's like, all right. She looked at me like I was crazy, but she really looked at me like I was crazy when when that mural went down on the wall and said Reyes Baseball Academy. And, Raz was like, I think a big old mural here with the logo. And I'm like, man. And I looked at him I looked at her and I was like, you know what? Let's do it. And she loves it. It's home. And, thank you for that, for doing that. Once I sell the house one day, I'm going to take that wall with me. But, we met through mutual friends and, it's been amazing. And now that, I got to see what you guys do, man, and for the youth. And I think where baseball and this podcast is about is, and what you guys are doing, we definitely have something in common. That's what I'm trying to say. Absolutely. Because we, us coaches, we're out there with these kids. We see these kids more than we see our family. And that's why I tell all my coaches, we have, 15 teams. I think the coaches, we have over 30 coaches, maybe 40. We have coaches meetings in this office once a month. We talk about the pros and cons. We talk about all kinds of stuff, and, that's how we come together as coaches. But, we're not perfect, and we try to preach to these kids, like, just not the baseball part of it, but how to act at school. I run 2 14U teams, and I'm in contact with these kids that do have cell phones nowadays, and I send them we practice Tuesday, Thursdays, and I send them a practice plan on that Tuesday morning. And I greet them with a good morning, go win the day. Hope you guys have a great day at school. And I don't do it because I want fame it comes out of my heart. It really does, And sometimes when I get back from the gym and I'm like, I ask my wife, like, oh, I gotta, have I sent that text out yet? She goes, you haven't texted the boys yet, or send it out or whatever it is. And it's a good reminder. It's a good way to start your day.
Yeah, I just think that that's huge, especially in these kids to understand what to start off with. Like a lot of these kids message with not even a hi or whatever. They message with what they want, and I think that's very big. That you connect with us. We always do that. We have that where we have a chat ourselves, and if you don't say good morning, we won't greet you. And that's something I've learned through this, where it's like, hey, it's polite to say good morning, hey, how you doing, like things like that to greet. And I think that's very important for these kids to understand, especially when nowadays respect is kind of lost with authority, especially within the youth. So a lot of our times we like to let them know, like, look, yes, we can be your friends to see what you're doing. If you're going through anything, you can let us know, but also to understand that we're not mommy and daddy either, that we're authority in a sense. So it's okay to follow that and not make it seem like, hey, I'm macho, I don't need to follow you because I don't need to listen to authority. So I think that's that's how we coincide as well, where you guys go and help these kids and these youth to understand that, hey, there is going to be some people to set rules here, and it's okay to follow them. Now, of course, you want to be those people to, when you grow up, you can set the rules for what you want to do. But when you're growing up, it's okay to not feel like, hey, I'm being nowadays kids go and be like, a teacher's pet or whatever it is, to feel like, hey, that's a bad thing to do. So that's why we always trying to let them know, hey, clean up stuff, clean up the field, clean up after you, don't leave these games, be responsible. And I think that's where it's like, me personally, I grew up in Silmar off Astoria, and brothers of 10. So I could have got lost in all that, but we all play sports. My mother and father did a great job, and my brothers and sisters did a great job holding each other accountable, to make sure that we were going to school, going to practice, and doing all that. So what is it like for you guys in the day of this mentoring for these kids look like? Whether it be activities or like, do you guys do the study hall, or what is it exactly do you guys do?
So yeah, that's a good question. So just to give some context about the program, the youth that are in our care are essentially still incarcerated within the homes that we provide, and they're a regular home in a blue collar environment, a little more on the upscale side, and that is purposely done to eliminate a fight or flight that these youth have because they are uh, formal former gang members or involved in that life once upon a time. So we want to make sure we put them in an environment where that fight or flight does not exist and they're on an even playing field. So essentially, these youths are still a ward of the court. They are in our care. They're 24-hour supervised. We have developed curriculums with our program director, Joel Aguilar, which is also one of the founders. We have MOUs with the Anti Recidivism Coalition, Healing Dialogue in Action, and other organizations throughout the city of Los Angeles. It's pretty well put together program. We have a total of 22 staff, people that work mentoring the youth on some capacity or another. I am one of the founders of the organization. For some of you guys that may or may not know, I'm also a developer. I've been in the construction industry roughly about since 2008 as a licensed general contractor. I develop homes within the $3 to $15 million space, and we developed the construction apprenticeship program not only to teach them fundamentals on waking up early, preparation, discipline, and responsibility, but also how they can learn a trade where they can actually learn some real money. If you move in your home, if you leave your home and look at any building going around the street, there's nothing in LA that has not been built by a man. Construction is a multi-million-dollar industry that anybody can capitalize on. AI is not going to replace that. If you want to be disciplined and work hard with your hands and you have some business acumen, or you can get you some business acumen, you can become a millionaire. Not, and it's not going to be that difficult, right? But as you know, the philosophy that I work with is, what's the use of having money if you can't help someone, right? At some point, you got to be able to give back. You got to be able to reach out to those that are in need, right?
Yeah.
And that is one of the fundamental principles at RAMP. Rudy, if you want to chime in on any of that.
Yeah, so these are valuable life lessons that sometimes we as adults take for granted. I know you guys as coaches, and we're similarly coaching these young men on how to be adults, right? From being a young man to being a responsible man. That's something that I think is the fundamentals of baseball, is like they like to talk about, right? So there's also fundamentals of life that we're teaching them, and Raz talked about the discipline and waking up early and showing up, being responsible, cleaning up, right?
Oh, yeah.
Cleaning your work area, your work site. All those things are things that are necessary, and to make your bed, because it's been proven that it's very valuable to your success is waking up and making your bed. And some of these guys, I know Frank talked about it earlier in another meeting, that some of these young men never had a bed of their own other than being in juvenile hall. So, waking them up and having to make their bed and learning the fundamentals of life, right? And that's where we're coaching them. There's greater consequences than the ninth inning and losing the ball game. I mean, it's very important, but at the same time, these consequences have a greater impact on the individual throughout their life, and that's why we're doing what we're doing to help these young men figure out their way. And at this age, it's a pivotal age, 18 through 25. They're still young men, right? But
They're impressionable.
yeah,
They're
and
very impressionable. At this stage in your life, you can either go the right way or the wrong way, right? And if you're in a community in the inner city that's heavily entrenched with gangs, that really is a viable option for you, right? Like you growing up in the city of Van Nuys, that was an option for you.
Yeah.
It was right at your doorstep.
Yeah, it was in our backyard for my brother and I, and I mean, I love Van Nuys. Obviously everything we put, everything we put on, Van Nuys, and just because where this program got started, I'm never gonna forget. It got started in Van Nuys, and I lived in Van Nuys. I lived on Friar Street, and then I moved out, in Reseda. Then I bounced around to Santa Clarita, and then I actually moved back to Van Nuys on Friar Street, where I drop off my kid every morning on Friar Street, and going back there, dropping them off every morning brings back a lot of memories. And I lived in a back house, with 3 kids and a wife, and it was just one restroom, and it built character for sure. And I'm never gonna forget that. I'm never ever gonna forget, how I got brought up, and obviously you become a man, and you're like, wait a minute, you gotta, like you said earlier, like, doesn't take much to figure it out. And but yeah, Van Nuys Middle School, getting picked up, heading to my local little league game or little league practice, or do I walk down Vesper, or walk to Vesper down and but yeah, it was baseball was definitely, was I think it saved a lot of lives, in the sense of could have gone the other route. Same with him, a family of 10, like you said earlier. But that's why we try to do a lot of stuff for the community. This brand, it is a business, but when it first got started, it definitely was no business. And I think right to this day we do a lot for the kids. If we had a World Series watch party the other day in the gym of Birmingham High School, where we practice at, watch party. We passed out, gifts for the kids, try to do toys for tots. We're not just tournament, practice, because that can also get old for the kids. They hear our voice every day, so we try to get involved with a lot of stuff that what we can do and help out. Like, earlier I heard, if they need help with like turkey, the turkey trot with passing out turkeys or whatever, passing out toys, 100 and something kids in the program, I'm sure someone would like to donate back.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing for us is we always want them to understand that baseball is your outlet in whatever you have going on. And right, we all talk about different outlets, right? These guys that are 18 to 25, this type of youth, we've all been there. We've all been there, done that, and you have decisions that do cost you some things and not. But we want them to understand that pressure is still within the sport and life. It's 2 different pressures, but it's really the same techniques to get you through it. And while they're us baseball players, coaches, we teach these players, hey, man, you're going to go the bottom of the ninth, that guy's heart is racing. Like, hit me the ball. He's, I'm sure, having a little doubt. But then when you do it, you just got to do it. And then these youth that are in those ages, and even us now, we get caught up in it no matter what. Like, I'm 29, but I get caught up in the hot hit moments where it's like, hey, man, like, why they do this or why they saying this, but then you got to wow yourself back and be like, hey, man, like, that we don't got to worry about that. And I think those lessons that we teach within the sport and you guys doing what you guys are doing, giving those different outlets, whether it be construction or whatever it is, that it's not just sports, but it's all about the little things that you teach, that it's all the same thing in life skills. Like with us, you can't leave the field without picking up. Go get the rake, go do your field, go do that. Same way. You can't leave your house without you doing your bed. You wake up early, whether it be alarm or not. Eventually, your body's going to wake up by the time you've done it so much. Baseball, you got to get there by 7 o'clock. You should be waking up your parents at 6 a.m. Hey, we got to go and we got to get out of here, right? Of course, that's just the older you get, but bringing all this in to say we all have the same kind of thing where you're teaching these young youth to be responsible, to understand that discipline is the biggest thing in this world, because you can be in a bad position, but if you have the discipline to say no, it's going to save your life for another day. And I think that's where these kids and ourselves keep wanting to do this and do this for the community, where I've never been part of a toy drive in my life until Braves Baseball Academy. And we were in Delano Park doing it in Van Nuys, where it's like, hey man, Dan, and all these kids coming in was like, it was the biggest thing for them. And I think that's where we can do it. And as long as we can make kids happy and do all that, it's going to keep you going. And for you guys to keep doing what you guys are doing, I mean, if an outlet of baseball at 18 to 25 is still not a long shot either. You know, go to school. If you want to try out for your baseball team, go ahead. If you want to try out for basketball, go ahead. It's still going to get you those things where those outlets happen. But then if your sport road is done, it's not just the end of the world. You still got construction. You still got these other outlets that people may not think is cool. But then when you get in and you start realizing, like, hey, man, I really enjoy this, and then you get all the money out of it or whatever it is, you're still getting a favorable outcome that you have.
What I think is important that you touched on right now is that, you know, you talked about an emotional outlet, right? Like how to deal with emotional situations. And what I found that young men in prison is that they never played organized sports. So if there was a coach that could have intervened in their life and would have intervened in their life, if we had more Braves academies throughout the city, it would benefit the society as a whole, because it allows you to learn how to deal with your emotions in a pressure-filled situation. What I found playing baseball, soccer, football, in prison, basketball, is that a lot of men didn't know how to express their emotion, disagreements through the rules, disagreements on the play, disagreements with their teammates. You see that a lot, you know, when they don't have that outlet for organized sports, where you guys are teaching them the fundamentals of baseball, right? It's very important because you're going to take it throughout your life and you're going to apply it. You know, it allows you to grow, right? And to be age appropriate. Yeah. A lot of these men, they might be 18, but emotionally they're not there yet because they didn't have the coaching or the organized sports, the teammates. And we at Ramp are a team, right? We rely on each other and we know how that works. And we're teaching these young men to also be a team, to be a cohort, to work together, to keep the house clean, to keep it up to par, you know, to help each other and to encourage each other. So you guys need the players to regulate themselves as well.
Hold
like,
each other
hey,
accountable.
talk to your teammate.
Yeah.
Like, you guys got to work together.
Yeah.
In order for it to go from short to second to first, you got to work together, right? It's a lot of teamwork. And I think that's where, like me and Raz and Albert and the guys that work at Ramp, that's how I believe that we're doing that, right?
Albert says he likes base hits and doubles all the time. If that wins
Doubles
the
are
game.
great. Doubles are the extra bases are better, a lot way better. But no, you're absolutely right. I mean, you know, these kids, even with the academy. I mean, we coach high school baseball as well. So now you're dealing with the academy goes from 8 to 14, and then obviously high school it goes from freshmen to seniors. Now you're dealing with a whole different animal. Now you're dealing with, you know, they look at you like, man, some kids do. So you got to wheel them in, because if you lose focus as an adult, as a coach, and this is his first year coaching high school baseball, and I say, hey man, like, don't lose focus. Like, it's so easy to just, like, you know, lose focus as a coach. And we got to wheel them in. We got to make them buy into our system. There's a blueprint. We're pretty successful at it. It's our system, and you got to make them buy into our system. And you almost have to build that relationship with them where it's like, we're not your homie, we're not your, you know what I mean? We're your mentor, we're your coach. I see our high school kids more than I see my own kid, or kids, I should say. And that's when it hits home because no one's becoming millionaires out of this. You know what I mean? We're not. And, you know, when we have a high school practice and we practice like we're behind of a game, you know, I've been preaching that, like, let's practice today. Sometimes we practice like a champion, I preach, or practice like we're behind, like the Dodgers were the other day. And Miguel Rojas just comes in, loses, you know, his bottom hat, his feet are going all over the place, and he just throws a strike to Will Smith, and they call it game of inches. And, you know, that's where we're back-to-back champs.
Yeah. So like even with that being said, right, with that mindset of coaching and for you parents out there, you know, I want to give a huge shout out to these men. Also, a good friend of mine and colleague that's a coach on your staff is Robert Vasquez. He's a colleague of ours.
That's your boy.
That's my
Right.
guy.
He's,
He coaches with me.
Yeah, Robert's great, man.
And
Yeah.
great colleague of ours. But what I want to say to you parents out there in this society where kids are on their devices and on their iPads and whatnot, like, you know, appreciate these coaches that are taking the time to instruct your children on really the rules of life, right? You guys think that fundamentally it's baseball, and yeah, it is that. However, I have a son that was a student athlete, and you know, he does pretty well in the game of life because he learned certain things.
Yeah.
You know, waking up early, you know, practicing at Birmingham.
Yep,
You know, my
yep.
son Caleb.
Caleb, yep,
Right? He
yep.
used to
Early morning
go
workouts.
and do the early morning workout
Yep.
before first period, and you know, he was always just working out for game day. But I want to stay on track with these men are a valuable asset to you as parents and to your children, them instructing them in the game of life. So, you know, appreciate them. Don't send the hate mail.
Hey, go straight to spam.
Yeah.
Straight to spam. Nah, man, thank you. Appreciate it, Rez.
Yeah, no, appreciate it. And I think same to you guys, man. Honestly, you guys come from where, you know, you guys could easily be like, you know what, go do your own stuff and create your own life and what you guys are able to do. But then you talked about you want to give back. And I think that's what we've all right here and sitting in this room really want to do is give back, because at the end of the day, we can't really take anything with us.
Yeah.
Once we're gone, and it's going to stay here. And what we want to do is leave a legacy. And I've always said it, and I say it is, I never want to give a kid or a parent or someone an opportunity to say, I'm the reason why they stopped playing baseball. The same way we say, hey, you're the reason why we like, you know, none of us feel great to go and be like, you know what, you're the reason why I am where I'm at, unless it's a positive impact. And I think that's our goal here. And our rewards is wins. But then our rewards is losses as well. Because that's how you're going to get better and be able to...
Lessons,
right? That's how you're going to be able to get through life.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we go. When we fail, we look at it, we come back in this office and we go, how can we go and get better?
Yeah.
And what was the lesson out of that? So what would you guys say is your guys' rewards in your guys' ramp program that you guys are doing for these kids? Whether it be a little win, a little, like, is there a reward for anything that they do? What is it? Because ours is holiday parties. You win your championship, you get these rings, you get all these awards. But what is it for you guys where these kids feel like they're rewarded in a sense?
You know
And you got
what?
some good questions too, huh? You came locked in.
Ironically, I would say man's greatest reward at large is to be free, right? This idea that they're not incarcerated,
Right.
this idea that this program exists to give them a whole second opportunity, and they have a team of 22 individuals with different life experiences. You know, I have one of my good friends and colleague and business partner, Albert Gomez. You know, he has his own story, and one day we'll interview him, or if we get a chance, we'll get him to chime in. But nonetheless, you know, he's a square guy for the most part. You know, USC grad, great businessman, 30 years plus in the banking world, you know, knows finances like the back of his hands. But he comprised this apprenticeship program on financial analysis, where that's an entirely different component of the restorative academic mentorship program that allows them to analyze companies in the $3 to $50 million space, right? And that's something that I know nothing about, but some of these youth that are really intellectually savvy, they could get into this and make
Yeah.
a great career. So
sure.
what are the takeaways? What are the rewards that some of these guys benefit? The first and foremost is that they're free. They can see their family. They can, if they have children, they can interact and actually hold their children. They could get a home pass and go home for the weekend with their family, with their girl. They have a curfew to be home at 10 p.m. So in that time frame, some of these guys are going to school. Some of them are, just meeting up with their families and, going for some ice cream. These simple things that maybe your youth would take for granted is an entirely different thing for our youth, because
crazy.
their system impacted,
Yep.
right? And again, I want to shout these guys out, parents, because these guys are probably the reason why your kids are not involved in gangs, and they're so exhausted from getting drilled on these plays and this physical activity that thank God that they're not involved in the streets. Thank God that they're not gonna be going to juvenile hall as a SYTF for 3, 4, 5 years and have to get out and engage in this program. So again, those lists of rewards, they're multifaceted, right? The other day we took the youth to NCL. The day we took them to the Dodger game against the Phillies,
the NLCS.
the NLCS,
Oh,
we took
yeah?
them to that game.
Yeah, if you didn't
and-
know, he was a Philly fan.
oh man, es que gacho.
You like
Is
watched
that-
you watched episode 54? Yeah, he was going for the Phillies.
Pues, man, they took a vacation early, man. He spent time
We're gonna have to
with-
rewind 54 and see we're gonna have to rewind the tape on that. I think
But sorry to cut you
I
off.
think,
man.
no,
I think the freedom, like Raz was saying, is the number one thing, and that's the freedom from having the fight or flight, right? Like coming out into a neighborhood where they don't feel the pressure from anybody from another gang, a rival gang, to be able to have the freedom to make choices and decisions for themselves on a daily basis, right? The reward of going to work and earning a few dollars with Raz in the construction apprenticeship program we have. To go to school, a university like CSUN, we have a few CSUN students that, they're like normal kids when you look at them, right? And the thing is that they get to interact and to go to these universities and these colleges and to be normal, right? And
Right.
that's something that they were never allowed. They never been given the opportunity. And that's the difference between some neighborhoods, some youth, is that they never had this opportunity. And like earlier, I spoke about how I observed, like, even though I had played organized sports, I still ended up in prison. But what is the pivotal age? Like looking at all these things, understanding that, like 10, 11, 12 is an age group where, kids tend to start getting in trouble. And then 12, 13, 14, 15, they're already they're a little more independent. And then, like when they're young adults, 17 to, 21, they're pretty much figuring out like where they're going to be and who they are, right?
For sure.
I mean, it's a longer process than that. Some, it might differ, but from my observation, through my study, of young men, and that's myself as a gang member and a gang leader, I had to understand, like the inner workings and how young men interact. As a coach, I'm sure that you guys see how the dynamic of the cohort, the group of young men that you have, who the leaders are, who are the solid, players in the team, who you can count on, and
For
where they
sure.
need work, what their strengths and their weaknesses are. And that's kind of like what we're doing at Ramp is like, understanding who we have as individuals. Everyone's different, and where do they fit in? And, like sometimes if you don't have that experience, you don't know where you fit in, right? You've never been told, oh yeah, you're good at this or you're good at that, whether it be baseball or another sport. And I think that it's necessary for us to be in some type of organized sport, right? Because if not, then they're going to be in some type of other illegal group because we want to belong. That's the thing that's important about human beings. We want to belong to something, whether it's the chess club or it's baseball or a gang. And I would rather have my kid in the chess club or the baseball team. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Myself, because I experienced gangs and I know what the destruction that it brings, and I've seen young men lose their lives and some forfeit their freedom. And that's one thing that having forfeited my freedom, I don't want to give up another day to jail or prison or to that lifestyle. So that's what we're preaching and we're teaching there at Ramp. And I think that's where Braves baseball and Ramp coincides. We
Love it.
intersect, and we took a group of these young men. So, like you're talking about rewards, is we took Raz and myself as well as Caleb took a bunch of young men to the river. We went river rafting, and in that river we get to throw down, and we're like it's rough housing when it's not yeah, class 5, class 4 rapids. We're throwing down. We're fighting. We're jumping from boat to boat. We're trying to basically capture the other boat, flip it over. It's very hard to do, right? It's not as easy as you think it is
Oh, yeah,
because
no.
when you fall in
You're going
a
against the
river,
current.
Yeah.
my boy Frank here has a life and death experience on the Tuolumne, but that's something that we do.
Yeah.
That's a reward, right? And we just met with the senator just a little
Yeah.
while ago.
Yep.
We want to take these young men up to Sacramento to see how government works. We want to take guys up to the Sequoia and to Kings Canyon up there to see how nature works, right?
That's
Just to
awesome.
experience things that is out of their comfort zone, right? Or even their imagination sometimes. Like, hey man, like we can go and do this, and they took they took a liking to it. They're a good team. We work together. I know me and Raz on a daily basis talk and experience things that normal people don't experience.
That's crazy. I love to hear that because we talk a lot. All coaches, it's the coaches talk of certain kids, the good and the bad or whatever they're doing. Going back to for myself, I do catch myself at the high school level and with the 14s is who can handle, the Coach Gus attitude, the hard nose, and
Yeah.
who can't. Some guys need a pat on the back. If they made an error, I can't get on that kid because he's not gonna respond the way I want to respond back. You know what I mean? And there's certain kids out there now that if I get on them, they respond back like, "Oh, I got you." You know what I mean? I made an error, but I'm gonna hit a 2-run double. You know what I mean? And there's
Yeah.
certain kids that make an error, cost me 2-3 runs, and I'm like, "Oh no, I'm not gonna do it." I'm like, "Hey man, here comes another ground ball." But deep inside, I'm like, "Man, but I can't do that." You know what I mean? Because we just can't because they're kids at the end of the day, and certain kids can take and certain kids can't at the high school level as well. And going back, I started losing focus. Us coaches, we start going, and then the game will speeds up on you. Next thing you know, it's the 5th, 6th inning. You're like, man, you're still thinking about that error in the 2nd inning. But my question to you guys is like, do you guys have those kids where you can get on that kid? Hey, do your bed. Well, how come you didn't do your bed? You know what I mean? Or do you, do you guys have those, That's a good question,
That's
huh?
pretty good right there.
You kind of twisted that baseball into, come on, man, I'm locked
So
in.
Can you get the mic a little closer for you? for
So
these guys?
obviously,
There go.
you
Thank
have all kinds of different personalities.
Yep.
But for the most part, I think we try to run a tight ship. We want to develop champions. And it's a everyday dialogue, right? That what if we can dialogue like a gentleman, that's cool. But if I have to come at you a little bit strong, let it not surprise you, because you might need to hear that, right? And at the end of the day, understand that I want to see you win.
Yeah.
I want to see you win. And that's part of the developmental practice, is to have to perhaps reprimand you. You know, I don't want to do that.
Right.
You know, I want to be able to dialogue like a gentleman, because at the end of the day, you're 18, 19, 20, 21 years old, right?
Yeah.
And we're in constant dialogue that, hey, we're men, right? We want to teach you how to do hard things. We want you to embrace to do hard things, because if you can embrace the idea of doing hard things as a man, you're going to make a great leader. You're going to make a great husband. You're going to make a great father. You're going to make a great citizen.
Yeah.
You're going to be a protector,
Yeah.
right?
Love it.
You know, if something goes awry and I'm with Rudy, I'm in good hands like Allstate, baby. We're going to be good, you know?
That's right.
No pasa nada.
So
That's right.
I had a little bit of struggle dealing with the guys that I'm a firm hand. I like a firm approach. I like people to approach me straight up, firmly, right? And I know that I make mistakes. And the one thing is I became accountable for my mistakes, for my crimes. I said, you know what? I'm going to be accountable, because one day I'm going to stand before God, and I just want the Lord Jesus to welcome me into his kingdom. So I have to hold myself accountable, and we hold each other accountable, right? And whether you believe it or not, that's what's going to happen. And the thing is that I know that some of these young men can't take the hard-nosed approach, or maybe they've been abused as young men, and we don't know that. And sometimes we find out later on, when we get closer to them, they'll reveal that to you, and they're like, no, you know, I can't respond to that. It triggers me, and I freeze up, and I get however, or I run away, or whatever it is. And there was a kid that he's in juvenile hall again, and I had to take that softer approach toward him. It's annoying sometimes. It's time consuming, but that's our job, right? In the end of the day, we signed up for that specific thing, right? And that's why, you know, like me, I'm used to the hard nose, but you know, I think that we need to have that balance as coaches, to be able to know what the needs of the individuals are, and meet their needs, right? Not only is the youth, the kid our client, but also the parents are our clients as well. Because I've met a lot of moms, I've met a lot of dads, and of course, every mom thinks that their son or their daughter is better than what they actually are, right? They're always going to promote.
Experience that, would you?
They're always going to promote their
no
kid,
comment.
right?
Yeah,
and you know what? I'm not mad at that. You want to advocate for your kid, that's fine.
Yeah.
But you're paying me, or you're giving me the responsibility to make that determination, right? Like, we don't need, you know, you're coaching because I'm the coach, right? And you're respecting me. So we all have to respect our roles. But we like to believe at Ramp that the kid's attorney is our client. You know, the parents are our clients. The social workers are our client. The DA is our client. The judge is our client. We're providing a service. We owe this to everybody that's involved, the stakeholders. And you guys are trusting us with your kids, right?
Yeah.
They don't go home in the end of the day like on a baseball team, right?
True.
They stay here with us because they need a little bit more work, right? So do they hit some foul balls? Yeah. Do they make some errors? Absolutely, right? They're gonna do that in life, no matter what young person, 18 to 25, that's in the universities around the United States or even the world, but like, let's just say they're gonna make mistakes.
There's errors and foul balls all day long.
Yeah,
All day long.
they're gonna be doing some dumb stuff, right? And the thing is those are teaching moments. Like, when they make a mistake, is a teaching moment. Do these kids need work? Absolutely. Do they need practice in life and how to be a young man and
Structure.
a law-abiding citizen?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
they do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing that we're bringing to the table at Ramp is like, is baseball in Ramp, is the Braves and Ramp a similar? Are they coinciding? Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's just greater consequences to an error.
We even have meetings with our eighth graders. Once you hit eighth grade, you either, if you talk about getting held back, repeat another year, which is a thing to do nowadays. If you're not ready for high school, believe it or not, some kids are this big, skinny. You walk into Birmingham High School, a population of 3,800 students. You're talking about 18-year-old. You got some gang members there probably, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, man, you know what? Maybe you should get held back. And, anyways, so we have meetings. We have multiple meetings with our eighth grade parents, and we ask them like, "What high school do you plan on going? Give me your top 3 high schools." And the reason we do that because we care where you're going to spend your next 4 years at. If you spend 4 or 5 years with us here at the academy, well, we care where your future is going to be at. If it's a private school or a public school, if it's a small school of whatever it is, or is it a big high school in Orange County or here in the Valley, we care, and I think that's something that separates us from other programs around the Valley. To be honest with you, and I'm knocking on anybody. I respect a lot of programs out there, but we actually care of like where are you going to go? Same with our high school kids. Like, hey, where do you want to go? And why do you want to go there? Yeah, USC, UCLA. It sounds nice. Like I tell my 17-year-old, he goes to Harvard Westlake private school, and half the team's committed to Division I already, and he hasn't, got any offers. And I said, don't worry about that. And he's like, I'm confused. I said, what are you confused about? Like, what are you confused about? Are you working hard enough? I mean, I don't know. You got good grades, but I said, your path will come. I'm a strong believer in that. You're the right school, the right fit will come. But these kids get lost nowadays where it's like, man, and my son, obviously like he was confused, and I'm like, don't get confused here, buddy. The process stays the same. We work out at 5 a.m. every morning. We're programmed to it. We have to be.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Hey, you're on your way. I'm on my way. Boom, let's go. We're programmed to it. We have to be programmed to it. It teaches us as adults, as coaches, discipline. If our coaches, our leaders are doing it, then why isn't the 10, 14-year-old doing it? If I'm going to say, you better work out, well, that's why I repost those videos, because they got to see us doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no, I love this, man. This is great. This is great. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those where you hit on the coffin on the nail of the head, where it's like, hey, we're teaching parents too. A lot of them don't understand or may not have played baseball before. They see millions of dollars. They want to get their kids to go achieve that, right? And it's like, yeah, it's very achievable, but understand that it's almost impossible as well. But we're never going to use impossible because anything's possible. But it's just one of those things where you got to realize, like, your kid's going to fail a lot here. You're going to deal with a lot of kids crying. You're going to deal with them going home and shutting down and shutting off. How do you going to deal with that, right? And we all know that family, or let's just say a core group of people that care about you, can take you a long way as a person. Being able to go to somebody to be able to, explain themselves and show the negative thoughts that they have, but they have to confide in someone to share them to where be able to go. Then that person there, it's his job or her job to be able to keep that person going and see the right track, to see the light at the end of the day. And I think that's where a lot of these youths kind of don't have nowadays, is where we go, we use that to be able to let them know, like, hey, parents, you're just as big as us. We see them a lot, probably more than their own parents. But then when you go home, you got to understand that this is a way of that we've been able to provide these kids to succeed to the next level. Just kind of mimic that within the sports world. Now, the other side of the life, that's your guys. We're not never gonna tell a parent how to parent. But our biggest thing is when you see us and we're on this baseball field, they got to be independent now. I understand that they might be 11, 12, 13, 8, 9, 10s, but you got to eventually let them go, because when you're in high school, you're not going to be there all the time. You're not going to be there. I think that's where our thing is. We give conversation to these parents and let them know, hey, this is the way we go things, and this is what you should look at it this way. Or why are you upset? Okay, great. But maybe do you hear from our side? Approaching people or saying things a certain way goes huge. Parents
We have a 24-hour rule.
still do that.
With the academy, and this what the 24-hour rule consists of is, I'm gonna use an example. Like on Sunday is championship Sunday, we call it, and your kid didn't play, your kid failed, or your kid made an error, and you want to take it out on the coaches, and hey, cool off. We lost, cool, or we won. We won the championship. Your kid didn't get much playing, whatever it is, we have a 24-hour rule in the sense of like, you know what, cool down, or us cool down, because if we talk about it right there and then at the moment, it's gonna get ugly, and I have some experiences in that. It's gonna get ugly. Why don't you go home and I go home? Let's go eat dinner. Let's go our separate ways, and then give it 24 hours. Gather your thoughts, and gather my thoughts, and let's talk about it. And I've seen the good and the bad. Where it's like, man, like I could have saved you. We could have still been part of this program. But the 24-hour rule got in the way. But no, man, this is great because you never know.
How do you think Toronto feels right now?
Okay,
Shoot, they got a 72-hour rule already.
They're in Cabo, aren't they? In Cancun. They're in Cancun. They're in Cabo.
With the
Whatever.
rest of them, with the rest of the bitter
The bitter
boys
crown.
over there that are in Cancun, and
Yeah.
I think that really, when you're shaping young minds and bodies as well, because it's a physical discipline that they have to learn is practice.
Yeah.
Practice is important for us as adults, man. Like to practice certain things in order for us to get better at it, right? And that's the thing is like, even if these young men don't succeed in baseball, they will succeed in other areas of their life because they've practiced, they've had discipline, they've got up, they've shown response. The same thing with us.
Yeah.
Regardless if these young men don't become an attorney or a doctor, maybe they become a business person. Maybe they become an advocate like
Because
I
of
am.
structure you guys put into them.
Yeah, and that's the thing that we're investing this not for the outcome that we want, but we want the youth to be able to make choices and decisions on where they want to go. Maybe they don't go to Division 1A.
Right.
Maybe they go to Division 2, which a lot of champions, quarterbacks, baseball players have gone the rough route.
Yep.
And they never even got drafted, and they end up in the big leagues. And that's the thing that we're trying to teach them is like, hey, you got to have the follow through and the discipline to continue to work at it and earn for yourself. Because I could advocate for you, but you're going to have to do the work. I can't do the work for you. I can't do your homework. I can't do your practice. I can't do the things that I could tell you what you need to do.
Right.
But it's ultimately your choice to do it.
Yeah. But we preach, like, I know my carnal is listening right now. Shout out to my carnal out there, keeping the streets safe out there. We preach so baseball is going to end for every, it ends. Baseball does. The game of baseball, some kids start playing, if it's high school, after high school or college or, the bigs. But it ends, and what we want out of this academy, where we want to see our wins, is go be a great citizen, go be a great father, go be a great, whatever, go act right. Are you ready for a job interview? Can you write a check? A lot of these kids don't know how to write a check nowadays. Or a job interview, they're like, what should I wear? You know what I mean? So it's like that, those life skills, they're important, and we preach them at the academy. We have to. Do we love winning? Absolutely, we love winning. But at the end of the day, we want these kids to be great citizens. Go act right out there in the world, because if you act wrong,
there's consequences.
Exactly.
There's consequences. Yeah, and I think that's a fundamental part of life is to be a decent human being, right? Because we're all flawed. We all have flaws that we need to work on if we're conscious, right? Develop discipline, develop these quiet moments where we reflect on like how was yesterday, what does today look like, what type of habits can I build, right? The road to success is lonely and hard, right? And there's a lot of consistency, and success is disguised in hard work.
For sure.
You know, I tell a lot of people I know, like, I didn't magically land in this spot.
Right.
You know, there's been 23 years since I paroled, you know, of just consistency, right? When everybody else was enjoying their life, when they were still partying, when they were still whatever it was that they were doing, and perhaps not taking themselves serious because they were still in their youth, or maybe not, but they still wanted to live a certain lifestyle. I was grinding. There was no Instagram, there was no Facebook. I couldn't put up my highlights. You know, it was pretty ugly. It was dirty. It was grimy,
I bet.
right? It was that solo work,
Right.
you know, and now by the grace of God, through that hard work, discipline, and consistency, the show must go on.
That's right.
There's still a lot of hard work
That's
out there to
right.
do, right?
For sure.
It's not over. We haven't arrived yet.
You guys are doing a great job, man. Like,
you.
and I sat in that meeting. Thank you for allowing me to do that earlier today. And yeah, it opened up. Whoa, you know, it just yeah, it's you see life in a different way. You really do. You know, the life perspective of it, like you just never know. But before we end the show, so the scholarship I heard earlier, those kids that go to college, how does that work?
So we're gonna find out through the senator's office how that exactly works, but it would have to be someone that is either a female or Latino, you know. So there's it has to reflect who the senator is. So that's the only requirement. So those are the two requirements, you know, for the scholarships.
But as far as so if you guys get a donation, you get to choose who you give it to if they go to college.
Well, if there's any donations, it would go to the organization itself, like you know, for whatever we need the money for. But like to sponsor an individual, that's something that we would do through.
The rent.
Yeah, but we would do through the senator's office or whatever politicians that are offering scholarships. But normally, we hook them up with the school, with the college, and you know they get the funding. They get the funding.
Yeah.
For to go to school for free, right? And they qualify. A lot of them are foster youth. You know, they've never had that opportunity, so they qualify for certain sponsorship in education. But I think the scholarship itself would come from other government agencies. But like right now, donations that we have towards our organization would go just to the overall good of the youth, right?
Okay.
It would get put into, because we're a nonprofit, so you know we're looking for donations of every type, and we're looking to help people as well. You know, we're looking to connect with people, to form partnerships with them. You know, and maybe we share our website with you, you know, on your page or your channel, and then you know people want to hit us up, they could hit us up, and you know
Yeah.
we're here, we're available, we're in the San Fernando Valley, we're also in Los Angeles,
Yeah.
and if they could help us or we could help them, however we can make it happen, we're willing to.
You guys hear that?
Follow us on Instagram. It's ramp_movement, and movement is MVMNT, or Raz_contractor, or just hit up Gus and you guys can get in contact with us. If you guys are interested in coming to one of the homes, you guys could get a live and direct tour. we're an open book. You guys can come by, check out the youth. If you guys have any contribution, it doesn't even necessarily have to be monetary. If you got your time, some sort of positive contribution that you can make, please partner with us. You know, this is a movement that is really helping our youth and society at large. And thank you for having us. And
thank you.
Again,
This was great.
Big shout out to the Baseball Academy, the Braves here in Van Nuys, California, baby. Let's go.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much. This was great. Episode 55. Frank, Albert, Rudy, Raz, you guys are amazing, and we got to definitely do it again. It's part 2, something. This is great. I'm sure we can, collab somehow, some way, but this was great. I'm ready to go to the house and, talk to some kids.
Absolutely.
Have them come out to practice. Have them come out and see the, how we run a structured practice.
That'd be dope.
That'd be kind of cool. Have them sit in the dugout. I'll hook them up with some gear and some shirts at Brace Baseball Academy. That'd be pretty dope. And have them, it would be nice for them to come out to a 14-year-old practice and have and to see, the lights under the lights. Like, man, then we're moving. We're moving, and to see the kids how they hustle in and out of the dugout. Not one kid is allowed to walk on that field. Or we look at you like, what are you doing? If they walk, and they're not sprinting, but they're jogging to the next station. They're always jogging. They're constantly just moving, because that's the way it is.
Shout out Vasquez one more time.
Hey, Vasquez.
Robert, yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Brace,
That's right.
Baseball Academy. Is he 11 you coach?
No, he's 13.
13 you.
13
Yeah.
you.
Rob, yeah.
Coach Robert Vasquez. Shout out, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I'll see him tonight. He'll be there
That's
tonight.
Right.
Los
man,
bravos que se agüiten los feos.
but man, thank you.
Yeah, so thank you again. Appreciate it. For you guys listening, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Do you guys comments or everything else below. If you guys are companies and all that are watching, reach out. We are here to help out the whole community. So whatever it be, if you guys have a plan and you guys have a plan to use them, go ahead and let us know, let them know. But we do appreciate you guys watching episode 55. And now we are out.
We out.
Thank you. Sun se acabó.